Hello, this is Chris from IELTS Advantage, and this video is just a quick guide to IELTS listening. So just an introduction to IELTS listening. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the format of the listening test. Then we're going to look at key things you need to understand about the listening test. And then we're going to look at the different question types. There are many different question types for listening, so we're going to take a quick look. So first, it is split into 4 separate parts. And the parts will have different contexts. So you might have a social context with 2 people talking socially. You might have an academic context where one person is giving a lecture to a group of students, or you could have a training or education context. So just be aware that there will be different contexts, different situations, different backgrounds for each of the 4 parts. And there will be different numbers of people talking. So there might be just one person talking, and there might be 2 or more people talking as well. It will take around 30 minutes to do the listening test, but you won't have as much control over time as during the reading test. During the reading test, you really need to be in control of your own time, and you really need to think about time as much as possible. And we have a video about timing in the reading test if you need to look at that. But because of the nature of the listening test, you won't be really in control of your time, so you don't really need to worry too much about that. There'll be 10 questions in each part, so 4 parts, 10 questions in each, so 40 questions altogether. And these will be varying question types, so there are many different types of question, and we'll be looking at that in just a minute. The questions get harder, so generally the questions start off easier and get more difficult as the test goes on, and we need to think about that. We'll look at that in just a minute. And 10 minutes to fill in the answers at the end. This is different from the reading test. In the reading test, you don't get time at the end to fill in your answers, but you do with the listening test. So it is better to focus on answering the questions during the listening test and then transfer your answers at the end. And you should be given headphones, or the sound system should be good quality. Now, it is a listening test, so it is essential that the place you're doing it in has good sound. Check this before you do the test. I've worked in exam centers where the sound system is excellent and the IT people are great, and they make sure everything is working properly. And I've been in exam centers where that's not so much the case. So check this before you do the test. It's better to check with someone who has already done the test. Ask them, what was the sound like? Did you understand everything? And things like that. So key things to understand. Don't panic as the questions get more difficult. So the later questions are used to separate out the band 7, 8 and 9 candidates. So the questions will be very easy in the beginning, and most people will get those correct. They will be quite difficult in the middle, and most people will also get those correct. And then towards the end, they will be extremely difficult. Now, don't panic when you don't understand the last few questions. The last few questions are there to separate out people band 7, 8, and 9. Most people don't need a band 8 or a 9. So if you don't get the last few questions, what I've seen is students not getting the last few questions correct, getting very frustrated, and then finding it difficult because of stress and nerves to fill in the answers at the end. So if you don't get the last few questions correct, just guess them. Try and make an educated guess, but don't worry about them as much as the first questions. So you will listen to both one person and 2 people talking. So practice listening to both of these things. Listening to one person talk, like the way you're listening to this video right now, or listening to maybe a lecture or someone reading the news on TV, is very, very different to listening to 2 people talking. It is sometimes completely different the way they talk. Normally when someone is talking just by themselves, it's much clearer. They're not being interrupted, things like that. So it's a different style of listening, so you should practice listening to both of these. Also, spelling counts. Spelling is very, very important. A wrongly spelt word is always wrong. So even if you think that you've got the correct answer, but you spell that word wrong, it is wrong. It doesn't matter if one letter is out of place. If it is wrong, it's spelt wrong, it is always wrong. So focus on your spelling. But difficult words will always be spelt for you. So somebody's name or an address or the name of a town or a city that you've never heard of, these will be spelt for you. Like my name would be, his name is Chris, Chris. They'll spell it for you like that. So more key things to understand. You have time to read and think first. The key word there is think. It is much easier to get the correct answer if you think about it first. So it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but lots of students don't do this. Read the question. You will be given time to read the question before the listening begins. Use that time to read the question, think about the question, try and guess what kind of answers will come up, guess the answers, look at everything, and this will lead to higher scores, I promise you. Most people do this, some don't. It's a big mistake if you don't do this. It is much easier for your brain to understand information if you prepare your brain for that. So just a quick thing you can do is look at the context, look at the situation that the question is about, and try to understand that, and then you're preparing yourself and you'll understand things much easier. Use the 10 minutes at the end wisely. So make sure spelling and grammar are correct and double check everything. So just like spelling, if the grammar is wrong, then the question is wrong. Some of the answers will be short sentences. So if the grammar is wrong, everything will be wrong. So double check everything. Use this 10 minutes wisely. Why have I put this in here? Because at the end of the listening test, you will be tired and you will want just to finish everything and go and get a drink or go for a walk or a smoke or whatever you do, but try and keep focused for that last 10 minutes. I've seen lots and lots of students who get the correct answer, and then when they're transferring the answer at the end, they spell it wrong, or they just put in the wrong one, the wrong thing, because they're tired and they can't be bothered. Please don't do that. Focus right up until the end of the test. Each type of question will be different, so you should have a different system or strategy for each of them. So we're going to look at the different types of question, but because the questions are all different, then you should have a different system or strategy, just like in the reading test, for each of these types of questions. So let's look at the different question types. I'm going to mention 6 different question types for the listening test. Now the reading test is different. This is just for the listening test. First one is the most straightforward, the one that most people know, is multiple choice. You'll be given a variety of answers to choose from, and you must choose the correct one. So it will be question 1 and you'll be given A, B, C or D or E, and you choose the correct one. You might have to do a selection question. You will be given a list of alternatives and you must select the correct answer. So you might be given 6 or 7 alternative correct answers, and you have to choose 3 or 4 of them. Form completion. Again, you'll have to complete a form. So somebody, for example, will be booking a hotel, and you will have to put in their name and their address and how long they're staying for and how much money they're spending and their credit card number, things like that. Labeling a diagram or map. You will be given labels to fill in, pointing at different parts of a diagram or map, and you have to write in the correct information at each point. So you'll be given lots of empty boxes and you just fill in the empty boxes. Short answer questions. So you'll be asked direct questions about the listening. So these are the type of questions that you might have got in school, like comprehension questions, where you listen to something or you read something and they ask you a direct question and you write a short answer. And finally, sentence completion. You'll be given part of a sentence and you must complete it. So similar to the short answer, but the sentence completion, you will be given a little bit more help. So 6 different types of questions require 6 different strategies, 6 different systems, and you should be aware, be able to spot these very, very quickly. You should get used to these, be able to identify them, and then use your preferred system on them. If you need more help, just go to IELTS Advantage and click the listening tab at the top of the page, and you'll be taken to the listening page and you'll be given all the information in detail about each of these. Okay, thank you very much. I hope that gave you an introduction to the listening test. If you need more information or you have any questions, go to IELTSadvantage.com. It should answer all your questions there, or you can join our Facebook group, facebook.com/IELTS Advantage. Thank you very much and goodbye.